I don't want to force
That's
that.
the word of God. That's the word.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we got that's a boss of a cameraman.
I don't.
Fucking hell.
He said, well, first off, he said, why do you need scholars? I agree, but I 100% agree with him. But my idea, what you're saying is completely different. It was a different topic. He's talking about the next man rolled up a man's horse. I think it's a very just make the assumption that God did it. If you have a maths question and you just put the answer instead of doing all the working out, you're not going to get full marks, no?
Content over everything.
Anyway, so do you believe in God? Physicist, right? So any math-related analogy, I think it will work well with him, right? So
sometimes you do get full marks.
Right. So anyway, I went back to the slavery thing. If it was, I'm asking about how you would justify it, and we're talking about the slave trade, castrating the men, and all these things, right? And you were saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth, right? So if I say it wrong, you correct me, right? If slavery was instituted today in the UK as it's laid out in the Quran, you wouldn't oppose it, right? But why not? That's the morality I want to get to, because clearly there's a level, there's a tier of human. There's the slave owner, and then there's the enslaved. For me, this is not compatible with humanity, with my view of humanity.
Yeah, and with my view of humanity comes from my religion.
So why does it not come from you? Why does it not come from your mind? You can think, right? You're a logical, intelligent man.
Yeah, and from my thank you. But I believe in my God. I believe in the Quran as it, and I will follow it to the word, right?
Why not? You don't follow it to the word, but you do.
I do. I said I do follow it.
Should I be scared? Because if you follow it to the word, I should be.
You're not posing any threat on me, so I'm not going to pose any threat on you.
I'm questioning your belief, and that's sowing mischief in the land.
That's fine.
Allegedly, I go to hell and I should be punished.
Yeah, not me. I'm not going to punish you.
Right. But if you think that about me, is that not a dangerous way of thinking about the world? Many people disagree with you. Is that not pure division?
I'll deal with you excellently. I'll deal with you as you deal with me, right? That's why we're arguing.
And I only want to make people think. Like, the thing is, I don't want to destroy your spirituality. I would like everybody to have their own idea of spirituality, come to it naturally, discover the world, discover the universe, expand your mind. That's what I would like.
Yeah, I came to religion.
Now, the fact that you have your own belief, that's cool, except when it's imposed, right? And I know you're not imposing on me, but that's why I'm wanting to ask you deeper about if it was instituted, you wouldn't oppose it. For me, it's a terrible thing, man. I would never want to call somebody a slave and me to own them. For me, it's abhorrent.
Because you think that being a slave makes you inferior, right?
I would argue so.
Yeah, and I would disagree.
Because you're not free to live as you will.
Exactly. My man knows.
Sorry, man. Don't worry.
You were saying.
I was saying.
Yeah.
I forgot too. I was like, no, of course. You got one man better than the other in terms of it controlling their life.
Yeah, and I only think that superiority exists in the eyes of God.
But it doesn't matter. But at this point, it doesn't really matter what God thinks if you feel like shit on the ground, no?
For me, it does.
You know what it is?
For me, it does.
You know a guy called Chomsky?
No, Chomsky.
If you read his books, he will tell you about slavery, about the wage slave, and he will tell you, explain it in full depth of how wage slave and you're a slave. No matter how free you think you are, you're not free to make your own decisions.
I don't disagree.
Right. As I asked you before.
Read Chomsky.
Yeah, Chomsky's eye. Read Manufacturing Consent for a start, talking about media controlling minds. But anyway, I asked you, would you want to be a slave? You said no.
I told you I wouldn't want to be a police officer.
Right.
I wouldn't want to be a teacher.
But it's clearly not the same thing.
It's clearly not the same thing.
Because you've got all of your choice removed if you're a slave. If you choose to become a police officer, it's your active choice.
I have to turn up to work every day. If I don't, they'll fire me.
No, you don't.
What happens if I don't? You get fired.
You get fired. You get fired. But you chose to get. But that was your choice. Nobody's coming to your house and forcing you to come to work.
So if I'm a slave and I leave, they'll kill me, right? If you're a slave and you leave. So if I'm a police officer,
that's not your choice. That's not your choice. If you leave, if you're a slave and you leave and they kill you, you
have a choice to leave.
You don't have a choice to leave.
The consequences you'll die.
No, you don't have a choice to leave. That's not a choice.
The consequence in both of them is you'll die, right?
No. How can you conflate it? No, bro. This is a leap. This is a massive leap.
It's a massive
leap.
If you quit your job, will you not die?
That's not no.
You can find another job.
It's not a good argument. Like you can actively choose to starve to death on the street if you want. If you're a slave, you're forced to work for another man's profit in terms of you have no choice. You have no choice at all. All of us here are probably working jobs, or we maybe own a small business or something like that. We're still choosing to do it, right? I know, I can see where you're trying to come from. You're trying to justify it by saying that, well, it's okay in this
my
circumstance.
justification is purely religious, as I said to you off camera.
But it
God
should
knows
be.
what you do not know, right?
I mean, like you're saying that everyone should live the way he wants.
No, I know. Everyone should have their own idea of spirituality.
No, they should use their brain to live the way they want to live.
The way that we've worked within a group.
No.
That's why we have laws.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So you say that they should use their mind, yeah. But the laws, yeah, which tells us about morality, about not to steal, not to rape,
Yeah.
not to swear,
Yeah.
not to do all this stuff.
Tell me.
Yeah. So that law, we have it, but still people, when the law is there, yeah, and they have in their brains, they're still harming themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
So?
Exactly. So if you're thinking about someone who is passing through depression and all that stuff, yeah, for me spirituality, yeah, is very important. First, you amend what is inside. If you be strong inside, you can be strong outside. So I don't know what is the argument.
Well, I don't know your argument either.
Yeah.
Spirituality doesn't stop crime. Clearly, you have very religious places that have very high crime.
Yeah, but I
So-
mean, like, what kind of, I mean, when you say spirituality, yeah, it depends. So for example, I am a Christian, and the laws that I follow, the spirit,
Yeah.
it's not harmful. It's not harmful to the environment. It doesn't make me stop living with people.
Okay.
Yeah? And you tell me not to impose it to others. I can't impose it to others because they have a will.
Right. That's why slavery is wrong.
That's why
also.
slavery is wrong. That's why slavery is wrong.
Yeah, slavery, but the system is still making people slaves, isn't it?
It's a different type, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a different type, but it's still a slavery.
Well,
Yeah.
that would come down to semantics.
Yeah,
Because
so,
it's still a
So there
choice.
is many things when we think that it's not even slavery, but still we're bondage on it. For example, just even to live.
Not really. Not really. You can leave.
What kind of leave?
Some people need to go to prison and then they'll know what it means.
You can actually leave the
To
country.
be in prison.
You can actually leave the country.
Yeah, but I'm speaking about, the system itself. It makes you a slave. So you tell
I
me
got
you
another
can
question
leave,
for you.
You tell me you can leave the country.
Because I want,
yeah?
I kind of reiterate a couple of points to you about why I would advocate thinking for yourself rather than defaulting to a religious book, right?
So
I would ask you first: is why would you want to follow somebody else's teaching rather than your own?
This is a very,
Rather than your own ideas, like your own
like you said, this
wisdom
is
that you can
semantics.
gain.
This is a very different type
Or
of
like
slavery.
in the Quran
It's
or
a
the
very,
life
very
of
different type
Muhammad.
of slavery.
Why would you value that above
If I have
anybody
you in
else?
chains,
Because
if I have you in chains and I'm making you work on the plantation every day, it's a lot more different than what we have
It's
now.
completely
We're
true.
free to talk to each
And I
other.
feel like-
We're free
But
to
why?
talk to each other.
Do
At the
you-
end of
do
the
you
day,
believe it's
they-
true
they-
in physicality?
You have a higher level
Like,
of
do
choice.
you mean
in this
because there's some things I've heard described in the Quran that are supernatural, like miracles, more or less, like splitting the moon and flying on a winged horse. You believe that happened?
Yeah, you too.
I'm trying to remember. I don't think it was. Can't remember what the actual explanation for that one was.
And I'm not trying to disparage you. I'm just saying, why would you choose that over what you could discover through using your mind, using science, using the method? And I'm not ruling out
And I'm
spirituality
saying
at all. I'm saying there's other realms we
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
discovered it through I discovered it, and I agree with it using my mind, and it stayed with me in my heart. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
With all
Okay.
this, with the argument about slavery before, I was trying to look at it from a different.
Side.
I was trying to look at it from your point, from a different point of view, not just mine. Right. That's why I was.
Right.
But for me, it is certain that the Quran is right. But if I was looking at it,
Okay.
I was trying to look at it from a different point of view.
So you
That's
see,
why-
in physics, right? There's different theories about how to explain the world, to explain the universe, how light works, how black holes curve space-time. These things. There's different ideas, and some of them, none of them are true. They're only shown with evidence at that time in that particular particular circumstance.
Some of them are more true than the others currently.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Science advances, it changes, it moves. Like in biology, you discover one thing,
Yeah.
10 years later, it disproves it. You're like, whoa, what
Maths is
happened?
not like that.
What?
Mathematics is not
I
like
know. But what I mean is people got conflicting ideas and they're advancing. They're trying to discover the truth, right? So when you said there, you believe that it's absolutely true. Okay? Is that not a dangerous thing in your mind to say that you have basically a totalitarian worldview that says my belief is the only belief and is the only one that's right, therefore everybody else must be wrong? You know, every other way of thinking is wrong. How could that be?
But the way of thinking isn't. It only affects certain parts of your life, right?
Well, Sharia would affect all life.
Sharia isn't in power here.
In some places it is, and many people want it. And you said you
I
wouldn't
don't.
oppose the slavery.
I was the servitude. Yeah.
Slavery, bro.
So,
Euphemisms aren't going to save it. I'm going to help people suffering. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that using the euphemism of servitude doesn't ease the suffering of somebody as a sex slave in Mauritania, for example. You know what I mean?
no,
So
I don't know much about
right.
slavery.
I'm just saying the words. I don't think they matter that much. But so Sharia would cover it all. And I'm asking you, why do you think one worldview? Why would you accept it as truth when you actively practice the discovery of knowledge through mathematics, through science? Why would you then say
But does
that this
Sharia
is
oppose that? Does Islam oppose?
Well, it says it's the only truth, aye.
Yeah, but spiritually, it says that there's only one God. But it doesn't say don't become a scientist. It doesn't say don't.
Well, it says
become
if
more.
you don't believe in Allah, there's punishments, man.
Yeah, not in this life, in the hereafter. You can do what you want now. For me, it's my religion. For you, it's yours, and we'll see what happens at the end. Essentially.
Not really, man. If that was the case, then I wouldn't have. If that was the case, right, and there was no outside effect imposed on the world, then I wouldn't have much argument. I'd be like, sure, you believe what you want to believe, that's cool. But it has a major effect on the world. Major. Okay? And not just Islam, but any totalitarian viewpoint. Look at the people of North Korea. Never been there. I've read a little thing about it. The people are brainwashed from birth to believe that Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong-un are gods on earth. And they believe it absolutely. Some of them.
And I would say
And
that's
the people,
protected them.
And the people, what?
That's protected them.
Protected them? Well, look, maybe beside the point. I'm saying that you can brainwash children to believe whatever you want them to believe. I believe that happens in many different viewpoints.
It happens in literally every country. It happens.
Could be. But how about if you had a world where instead of indoctrinating people that this is the truth, it's the only truth, everybody else is going to hell, and instead you say, question all ideas, think freely, discover it for yourself.
That's why I'm here, right? That's why.
But you already said you know the truth.
Yeah, because I feel like I've discovered the truth. Originally, I was
What
less religious, and then I did my studies. I read more.
No. What makes you think you've discovered the truth?
That's just the feeling in here. I'm not imposing on you.
No, I'm not saying you're imposing on me. I'm asking you a genuine question. What makes you think you found the truth?
From spiritual experiences that I've had.
From spiritual experience.
So if you say it's your own belief, right, and you're not imposing it on anyone else, do you support Sharia law?
I believe we should abide by the law of the land.
But
And the law of this land is not Sharia, so
right, but it's also is it not said that it's to be spread?
Islam, yeah.
Right.
But
So
not Sharia necessarily. If this country even
Sharia law is only applicable to Muslims, not to you.
really?
It's only
False.
because it goes to prayer, goes to fasting, goes to anything Islamic you think of.
So if I go to
If you were to pray, you wouldn't take any deeds from it. Do you know what I'm saying? Nothing would be accountable to you because it doesn't apply to you. It applies to Muslims only. If you're saying we want Sharia law, I'd be like, no, this is a secular country. We go by secular law. That's why this is a multicultural society.
yeah.
So if there was someone, I don't know, a Muslim politician was to go into power and say, I want to implement Sharia law, let's have a referendum. I'm like, hell no, mate, we're not doing that at all.
Right.
Do you know what I'm
I'm
saying?
glad to hear that.
No, but Sharia law is only, you're saying we want to oppose Sharia law.
No. But
Screaming.
The music.
On the music,
Yeah,
I'm saying
it's,
here.
He's going with the beat.
there's a lot of distractions.
There's a lot of people. Anyway, okay, interesting what you're saying, but with Sharia only applying to Muslims, I'm pretty sure that that's false. For example, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm wrong, right? I go to Saudi Arabia and I start openly questioning the Quran and Prophet. I won't last very long, man. I'll get taken out the game.
I'm with you. All the Muslim countries around the world, not one. This Muslim, as a Muslim,
this is practice Sharia law. I've heard it a million times, man.
And I think, as a Muslim, if I was president of the country, I would let you, as an atheist, are you an atheist? Or?
No, I'm a skeptic.
I would let you preach how you want to preach, but I wouldn't want you criticizing or making fun of like other religions.
Well, that's it there. That's it there. That's a restriction imposed on me. I'm not a believer in your religion, so why can you tell me what to do?
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying there's going to be.
Make fun of me. I don't care.
I would say there's going to be a level of balance between freedom of speech and social cohesion. You know what I'm saying? Because it gets to such a level that the freedom of speech would tear up the country.
Really?
I would.
What about the Enlightenment? What about the free exploration of all ideas led to the advances we have?
As a way of challenging ideas, yes, I'm totally there. But in terms of you going to go, I don't know.
But criticism is important.
Yeah.
Criticize, yes. No, I'm saying like making ridiculous fun out of people.
Why? No, but let's cut to the core. Let's go to the core. Let's go to the core. This is a major thing that's happening in the UK right now. There's apparent difference between criticism and then making fun of or insulting. Right. I don't believe in hate speech at all. It's a fallacy, as far as I'm concerned. You could say, sorry to interrupt you, we don't know each other, right? You could say, you could use the most insulting language of English, and I might laugh in your face. But I don't know you. You don't know me. Well, our relationship right now is transitory, but it's in the mind. Now,
no, because you understand the idea of hate speech is subjective depending on who you are.
But do hate speech laws exist in this country?
Does hate speech exist?
Do hate speech laws exist in this country?
yeah, and I oppose them.
Yeah, and we oppose them.
I think that would be a very subjective view. I think within society, saying some people say yeah, I oppose it, some will say no, depending on what they define as hate.
Because
I agree in the sense that you actually can't define it necessarily, but it brings that down to a subjective.
No. By that logic, somebody can get the Quran, read it, and see slavery and all this stuff, and say that's hate speech. Ban the Quran. And then literally the same logic can be used against anybody.
Absolutely.
But again, you're saying it's hate speech. I would say I would challenge you on that, saying it's not hate speech. I'll explain to you in detail like what the verse is actually.
But I could do the same from my perspective, and then nobody goes to
But again, that's criticism of a challengement of your doctrine. Not as in if I would say, I don't know, take a picture of Obama and post it somewhere around, like, you know, on a website, like, stuff like that. I would say that is like not a constructive way to build a society.
Right, but limiting, if we want to go into it, limiting free speech is limiting thought. Where was this? You can't think without speaking, right? Imagine you can think whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Therefore, how can you actualize your thoughts in reality? You can't. You have to be able to communicate the ideas, right? You have to be able to communicate the ideas.
How are those specific ideas helping building or challenging?
Maybe they're not, but it's the point.
Wait. Specific ideas have to help society.
Well, that's what he was saying. He was saying the freedom of speech allows.
Well, you can always advocate for a specific idea on the basis that it would benefit society, but it may not actually benefit society.
But anyway, man.
Maybe you're just being a comedian, maybe you're just being a douche, maybe you just don't want to contribute anything. I don't think they shouldn't have the right to say it.
Yeah, maybe that.
We're talking about offence, man. It's the whole argument doesn't make sense to me. Why should anybody be protected from offence? It's part of being human, and it's up to you. Now, I don't know if you've read any of this, but it's something I'm reading quite a lot these days. Have you heard of Stoic philosophy? The Stoics.
Oh yeah, they were the original
the Romans and the
philosophers.
Greeks. They talk about many things, but mainly it's about you choosing how you interact with the world, how you respond to it. Whether you choose to be offended by something, or you choose to step back, separate your emotions from something, and basically be the higher man. That's the only intelligent way of living, as far as I'm concerned.
I think you can say whatever you want.
You can say whatever you want to me. I have to choose to be offended.
You've actually got a point, because the only way you can have a nuanced discussion is by, well, I think we can all agree that the individuals who opt to be offended in this modern era are not particularly the individuals who want a nuanced discussion about something.
No, because do you understand that saying I accept your freedom of speech, accept hate speech is like saying
I didn't say that.
But it's basically like saying you can eat whatever food you want except junk food, or then you can't eat whatever food you want.
So let's go to offence. Like, you see the whole thing with the Charlie Hebdo massacre, and then the guy killed, the Danish cartoonist killed as well. These things here, like, these guys are are intentionally
I disagree with that.
intentionally criticizing and attacking or critiquing Islam and Muhammad and the Prophet, right? For me, I see what they did, and they knew that it would piss off a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
I think they should
But
be able to
they're
do-
making for me, they're making a point, and nothing, for me personally, nothing should be free from criticism. And it doesn't matter what type of criticism. Again, with the Stoicism, you have to choose. If it's your God, if it's your belief, why should it care what I think?
I don't know any
Who am
Muslim
I?
who gave a shit about it. Not about them.
Many people did, and many people died,
Many
man.
people did. That's why people were killing.
Do you know what I mean?
I think more Muslims would disagree with the people who did commit those attacks.
No.
Look on the inside.
No, but you'd be surprised how many people. It wasn't even just Muslims that were justifying it. There were many non-Muslims and media outlets that were justifying this massacre.
Yeah.
So find the massacre.
Well, saying that saying it had, they knew it was going to happen. And
Yeah,
they
yeah,
Right. But why? You said you said you opposed the massacre. Why? Maybe I'm wrong. Sorry, maybe I'm wrong. Right? I'm not an expert, but I've read in passages of the Quran that it says that you should be harsh to the people. Right, thanks. You should be harsh to the people that criticize Islam, or the Prophet, or that make fun, or that spread mischief. That they're going to hell and they should be punished.
And then there's you say be patient unto whatever they say as well.
But that's a
That's
contradiction.
a contradiction.
It's not a contradiction.
It's a contradiction.
How can it not be
If they are, if
contradictory?
there were parts of them, if they are trying to physically attack you, of course you're going to defend yourself, right?
But it's talking about criticism, making fun. Do you know there's a story? It's probably a hadith, so it's not in the Quran, so maybe you will disregard it, which I would say might not be that legitimate to disregard them all, but hey, I don't know. There was a story about two girls that were writing satirical songs about Muhammad, and they were singing it in a mosque, and he took them out and killed them because they were singing satirical songs, making fun, right? It's a similar thing to drawing cartoons, is it not? You see what I mean? What? It's just an idea. For me, like obviously, maybe you're a believer, right? For me, it's just an idea. It's an idea of God. It's an idea of the world, how things work. Is there heaven, hell? It's just an idea. So why should it be protected?
I think there's another hadith that goes, Aisha says that when a couple of people were walking past the Prophet, they called them, criticized him and made fun of him for that.
Right.
And he told Aisha to sit down, let them go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, again, I'm not a hadith expert or anything like that, but I would say we need to look at the context behind those verses and say what was happening.
Well, he still killed two girls.
Well, again, I don't. I've
As
never
far as
heard-
I know.
I don't know that hadith. I can say it myself.
Right,
So I
cool.
can't-
We can find it, but
Yeah, again, but I would say it's important to take context of those verses.
sure, context is important, but
context is definitely
it's kind of funny because everyone, I have these conversations with Muslims and they're like, context is important, and when I read the context, it makes it worse.
Well, I don't know that hadith itself.
Right.
I don't know.
Fair play.
But I would say I would want to go back to one of your things you said. You said about like the absolutist or the authoritarian position of
Right,
Quran,
yeah.
saying that the book says this is it. Is it not a bit of like like a dictator that's saying this is it? I would say if you're in a bowl, there's 4 apples, and I tell you there are 4 apples in this bowl, and there's nothing else, and then eventually these apples will rotten and all that. Would you want any other way? Would you be seeking any other way to seek the truth within that bowl? You know what I'm saying?
I don't get your analogy.
If I give you an example, if I give you something and say within this area, these things exist, and eventually these things will go away and this will happen. And I say this is the ultimate truth. I'm telling you this is the truth, and you can see it. If someone said, no, there's something else in there as well, but you can see and prove that it's there, would you accept anything else that would come to it?
Do you get it?
Not necessarily.
If I say this is the bottle, right?
Yeah.
Within this bottle, there's water.
Yeah.
Right? But then you see, I don't know, a stone or something, right? And I say there's nothing else in this bottle but water. But you're like, hold on, there's a stone. I'm saying this, the absolute is that there's only water in there, right?
You'd be lying.
I would say no. My point is that saying if a deity is saying that this is it, and I've proven this is it, and there's nothing else in it.
Proven is a really tough thing.
But this is the thing. The Quran talks about, like, for instance, the universe expanding. That is one of its theories. It said, as science, we say a theory would only be a theory until you can prove it in some sense.
Oh yeah, you show it to be the case in
Same with Darwin.
circumstances.
Same with Darwin. Darwin said, evolution is just happens, and then we say we found bones to show that maybe it's true, right?
I would say it's the case.
That's the case, and I'm an engineer, so I would say that is the case.
Right.
And in the Quran, it makes predictions, makes things happen. It says humans have created everything on the planet through dust, blood, and water.
Yeah,
and if you look at
but it also says that semen is produced in the shoulder blade. Yeah, maybe not the Quran, but the Hadith. But look, guys.
Which Hadith?
But there's many. Well, there's thousands and thousands.
I know, but
the point is that people claim it has scientific evidence in it. But then if I could show you a contradiction in it or something that's not true, people jump to defend it and make a way around it.
Yeah, we just said
As far as I'm concerned, it's full of contradictions. By one thing that you said before, where maybe we should have said about telling Aisha to not worry about the people making fun of him. Have you heard of the principle of abrogation? Of that in the Quran, it's not written in order that it was revealed. Originally, apparently, in other versions of it, it was. And you can see the abrogation rule is the things that were revealed first, if they are in contradiction with the things revealed later in his life, they are overruled. So the things he said at the end are the Quran, and the earlier things are overruled. You heard about that?
I know about that, but I can't explain the Quran in detail because I'm not a Quran scholar.
Me neither, but I can just look at a book and read it.
But I know I can read it, but if you read the book, doesn't mean that you understand fully what it's saying.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
True,
So I would say you would have to speak to a scholar to say what.
A scholar.
Yes, exactly.
A scholar.
But how do you know the scholar understands?
What's the motive of the scholar? To defend it at all costs.
But you go and listen to different scholars. Different scholars have different opinions about the verses of the Quran.
But why would you? And again, we made this argument before, so we might not want to reiterate. But why would a creator make a book that makes interpretation?
Because he's written it specifically that way. So he's written. I've written some passages are black and white and clear for you to understand. Others I've left for interpretation for you to have different meanings.
Yeah,
Well, that seems
no. Because I debate with this with a lot of Muslims as well. It feels like there's an ideological monopoly on what the Quran is meant to be. By the scholars. That's how it seems. Because every time.
Contradicts what he just said when he said they disagree with a lot. Disagree with each other.
What?
He just said that a lot. The scholars don't all agree with each other. But you said there's an ideological.
It feels like there's an ideology.
Even the Quran.
I think none of the scholars say that it's false.
Yeah.
So there we go. They're just arguing over whether they had tuna for breakfast
what is false,
or beef.
But what is this false?
What is false?
Yeah.
Something that can be shown to be objectively untrue.
But no, I'm talking about the verses that they dispute about.
Okay, I don't know. It's talking about morality. But some of it, as you say, makes scientific claims. And I think some of those scientific claims can be shown to be false.
Okay,
so that's something we'll have to, I'd encourage you to look into. If you,
which one?
I can't say it by name because I would need to devote a lot of my life just to this. And I've got a lot of things I want to read. I'm reading about 3 or 4 books a month, and that's enough for me. Never mind reading 50,000 hadiths. And everyone's just going to disagree with me and call me a hate preacher. That's the point.
Sorry, I didn't catch your name.
William.
William, I'm Mehdi.
Nice to meet you, mate.
Babs.
Babs, I'm Mehdi.
Anyway,
sorry.
So it's interesting that you're a physicist and you're an engineer, right? And we're all talking, right? So
what are you guys?
I'm a biologist, and we're all talking about science.
Little science around there.
I'm an outside. I'm a motion graphics
It's the most relevant, right? Okay, but like as I said before, I'm not wanting to try and steal your spirituality from you, because that's one of the things that I disagree with maybe the radical atheists. Some atheists go at it like there's no God, all of this is bullshit, all fairy tales. I don't support that view.
No, I don't know. I
small-minded.
I don't agree with that.
Would you say at least you're agnostic, or would you say?
Well, as I said, I would be agnostic, be skeptical, because I don't have the truth. And when somebody says they have the truth, I get scared. I'm like, how, man? How do you know? Because you know about science, man. You know about the physics and the structure of the universe being incredibly complicated and particles coming in and out of existence. And I know about biology and the evolution of life and the complexity of the information contained within the DNA. I mean, some people might say it points to a creator, maybe. But some people might say the universe is infinitely complex, so we don't know. You know what I mean?
I think you have a valid point. I think it would depend on your level of spirituality and the level of knowledge you're gaining from the books that you're reading.
Yeah.
I would say, obviously, yes, you have your books, you have the Bible, the Old Testament, and the Quran, and many other books. You would have to go and read each one, like come to the conclusion saying what is the ultimate answer, what is the truth you're getting from each one. But the belief is that you know what? I would love to know, if you eventually get there, what the end result would be for you. Saying, if you read all the books, if you read all the other enlightenment books and all that, what is the ultimate truth that you came to?
It will probably be.
Obviously, I would be a bit biased. Obviously, I would be a bit biased, because I would say, oh no, Islam is true. But the Christian would say.
But why though? Why?
Because it was our cultural background, how we grew up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. So is that? Don't want to offend you or anything, but is that not something that's been pushed on you?
I would say, well, it's been, I come from Iran, and I came over Shia community.
Yep.
I was told about, Shia, this, and that. And I went out my way and I researched, and I was like, well, I'm not saying I'm Sunni or Shia, I'm saying I'm Muslim. That's why. So every time now, I'm doing more research about enlightenment and post-truth and all this thing. So I'm trying to come to a conclusion. Ultimately, right now, I'm only finding it in God and in Islam. However, maybe in the future, I don't know. But right now, I doubt that. But maybe, I don't know. This could be.
Alright, cool.
So maybe in 10 years' time, we'll see each other.
Maybe.
You've got a Muslim, I've got a
Maybe. But I'm not an atheist. But anyway, the point is, like I said, I'm not trying to destroy spirituality. In fact, I would just say I'm encouraging it. But in individual spirituality.
Would want everyone find their own path.
Yeah, but then somebody might say, but what about society? How do we structure it? What rules do we have? Yeah, you can have secular laws built on the basis of psychology, of what's good for the collective, and why to not do certain things. That's the nature of this book, by the way. You see what I'm saying?
I agree, but I think his faith is between him and God, my faith is between him and God. The rest of it, you go to other people for help.
But what? Okay. But when you say it's between you and God, what do you mean by God?
It's expensive.
I know, it looks expensive. COE will kill me. What does it mean to you like that? Because I don't have that same idea. Like, I've got my own conception of spirituality, which is probably too cheesy to describe.
Spirituality, you can't explain it like something you can touch on. It's just not purely a feeling of spirituality.
Well, for me, it comes from my understanding that I don't know anything. So I think that there might be other things higher than we can perceive, and that connects us in certain ways. But it doesn't tell me how to live, and it doesn't tell me I have the truth, and it certainly doesn't tell me to impose it upon others. And if you want my opinion about what's happening maybe in the UK and Europe, it's a reason why people are getting so defensive or aggressive against Islam, because they can see it being pushed by some people, being imposed as a superiority. You know what I mean? Without having the whole distinction between believer and unbeliever, kufar, it's a really divisive thing. You know?
Yeah, you see, those verses that are talking about non-believers, some are generic, some are specific to the events that happen at the time.
Right.
So it's trying to split between, and the believer,
What, and that's in the
and the
Quran?
the believer could be necessarily you as well. It's saying someone who is agnostic, someone who believes in a greater being. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't necessarily mean a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew.
But what if I'm a polytheist? That's explicit, right? Exactly. Maybe I am. Maybe I believe in multiple deities, multiple gods. What? Look at your face. Why? Why do you think that? You think that because you've been told that? I would argue.
But no, again, I go back to my morality, and my morality comes from the Quran and God, saying that there's only one God.
Why?
And he gave, well,
Why?
It goes down to its, the predictions or the things it said in the Quran, the fact that they became true and they've happened.
Allegedly.
Well, I wouldn't say allegedly. Again,
Well, then it's the perfect legal system, right?
I said the universe. I said how humans work. I also mentioned historian traits, where it says the books of one are 5 times the Quran was built, 5 to 7 years time. The Romans would the Persians. That came true as well. So it's not just biological.
Everybody's had predictions. There's been predictions made by many people.
Right.
Are they prophets of God? I can make a prediction now, and by chance it comes through tomorrow. Am I a prophet of God? No.
But there's one thing making a hypothesis saying it might come true by chance. But then if you do a multiple on different things that are beyond one individual's knowledge, that would indicate something greater that's held contrary. If Muhammad is a man in the desert that had no knowledge and he came down and said the universe is expanding, it was like, hold on, how do you know?
Right, so let's take it. I know you understand, but let's take it another way. This bit might be a bit harsher, but we'll see, right? I know, yeah. I'm going to be bright red tomorrow. It happens every fucking time.
The neck is getting burned.
So, in Islam, there's ideas about jinn, right? Spirits, other spirits, and then the devil and things like this, and angels, right? You believe in this? Right. So here's an idea for you. You've heard about the revelation that Muhammad allegedly had from Gabriel. Allegedly Gabriel, right? You've heard about it. You've heard about the description of him being grabbed by the throat, pushed against the wall, being gripped by fear and terror, the world going dark, and him saying, read. Does that sound like the imposition of a benevolent God, or does that sound like I've heard he was also suicidal because he thought he was losing his mind, which would be a logical thing to think if you started hearing voices.
Depends on the entity that you're looking at. If I would say,
well, you know that people hear voices in their head today. You can have paranoid schizophrenia and many other psychological disorders that you think you're hearing the word of God, and you go out and you kill 20 people, or you live alone in the mountains and never hurt anyone, but you hear God in your head. How is it different? You know what I mean? I mean, we can't prove because we weren't back then. But it's either supernatural or it's insanity. It's either one or the other. You know what? As far as I see it, maybe I'm wrong, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's my point. It's like none of us can stand it and say it is true. I go upon the belief in what the Quran has said. I believe in a higher deep and higher knowledge. And within those scriptures says that Gabriel came down with the prophet. So I think it would go. And again, I can't prove this necessarily because I wasn't there at the time to say this is what happened. And again, it's just scripture. And like you with the hadith, I would say with the Quran, what Muslims will say Quran is 100%. The hadith would be like 95 or 98% accurate. Because they're not.
But how? Especially when a lot of the hadiths were written like 200 years later. So how would the authors know what happened in that time?
There's a level of authenticity that goes from the Prophet's time to our point of view. Most of these are accepted.
What do you mean?
The Shias say that most hadiths are not true.
Okay.
You only take the ones that are going to be.
But how do you know which ones are?
You look at the chain of narration and see what ones are. The people in the chain of narration must be trustworthy.
How do you know they're trustworthy? They might have an agenda.
Exactly. We judge that by their actions, their views towards the Prophet and his family.
But I could be a snaky individual. I could be nice to you now, yeah, and be in the comment section and be like, this guy's a prick.
That's gonna happen a lot, by the way.
Someone else might know you're a snake, and they say that it's not him.
Right, but you get where he's coming from. The other thing is like I was saying about hearing voices in your head. Imagine if I came to the park and I started telling people that I'm hearing the voice of God. I'm probably going to get sectioned, man, like by the health services. You know what I mean? Would you trust me if I was telling you my spiritual belief that, I don't know, that there was Atlantis under the sea and there's higher beings that we should all devote ourselves
Someone
to?
might believe you, right?
Right, but would you think I'm in a mentally sound state if I'm telling you that and I'm babbling incomprehensible gibberish and I'm hearing voices in my head?
How do you know it might be doing my tell?
Right. But
That's
you,
why
I can
you got caught right.
Right,
How
okay,
do you know it's gibberish? How do you know there isn't ice or whatever you said on
I'm not really caught.
it's only a theory until proven. And that's why I said the bonus.
Well, mental illness is real. It has been proven.
Yeah, no,
and schizophrenia is real.
Yeah,
it has
I'm
been
saying
proven.
all the things you're saying though. How do you know they're not real?
Well, okay. I have no evidence for them.
So that's just me. It's like all the things that you're saying about the pot and the people that say that things are true. How do I know if I'm not there? I can only take the words of the scholars and people that authentically.
But the scholars disagree.
Oh, I know, that's what I said too.
So you just pick your choice. You take
See where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I know.
anyone
You
that
have to look
suits your
for me.
particular inclination.
For me, you have to look at a broad range of scholars, like take a broad range of books, read them, and come to your own conclusions on what happened exactly there.
Yeah, but the problem with that is you have a belief. You've got a belief, and belief is the absence of knowledge. But it is.
I don't know, believing something without the evidence.
That's the essence of knowledge. If I punch you in the face, then what I would say,
Let's do it, violence, yeah.
He said wisdom's over here. Oh.
if I punch you in the face and I assault you, and you take me to court, and the judge said to me, did that man punch you in your face? You said, well, I believe so, Your Honor. You got no case.
Right.
But you know damn well I punch you.
Yeah, you felt it.
I see it. So this is another question I want to ask you. I had a conversation here a month ago in the park, very interesting one with a guy, tall guy with a big beard, I think it's Hassan, and another guy, I don't know who he was. I was really interested, and he was asking me, one of the guys was asking me, is like, when you think about the world, you've got ideas about the world, could you ever be wrong? Like, are you wrong? I say, yeah, of course. I'm wrong about many things and will continue to be. And that's in the quest for knowledge, right? I don't assume the truth. Now he asked the Muslim brother. He said, no, he can't be wrong. He has the truth. Now, I want to ask you two guys, if you think that nothing would ever convince you otherwise, then your pursuit for knowledge is highly questionable.
Is that
you know what I mean? Because you've already assumed it's true.
But is that not true on most religions?
Sure, it doesn't matter to me.
We're not religious.
My pursuit of knowledge and my spirituality are two separate things.
Okay, but if the Quran is true and everything in it is true, and what if you discover that something in it's wrong from your own knowledge? Would that contradict? That would contradict your whole worldview.
Wouldn't that contradict?
But you would never accept it, or would you?
I would say show me something that's explicitly wrong. I'd have no other choice but to accept it.
Well, have a look at the scientific claims of the Quran and see how they're wrong.
But you haven't told me anything.
Oh, I can use my data and look it up and go on. No, we can do it. People investigate it. I mean, it's being questioned by millions and millions of people. I actively question.
I've read the Quran multiple times, obviously, and I've never seen a contradiction. The scientific one and a contradiction.
Well, a contradiction right here is like when we said about don't, or maybe it wasn't the Quran, but don't react to people who criticizing you, and then kill people who criticize the belief. Sorry, that's a clear contradiction. It's like Jesus, for example, one day saying love your neighbor, the next day saying kill your neighbor. It doesn't happen, as far as I'm aware. You know what I mean? That would be a straight contradiction. I just want to say, I know I'm not going to be able to change. I'm not trying to change your mind. I just want to introduce the idea that it's been introduced.
I would say, you know what? I've looked at stuff before, and then when I've seen the explanations, I was happy with the explanation.
That scares me, man.
I would say
because we had cognitive dissonance before when I asked you about slavery, saying no, I don't want it, and then saying in the Quran, yeah, it's okay. That's a clear. You're saying, but it's servitude, and that's okay for you. Well, that scares me, man.
Just go on the science.
Fair play, but it's worrying.
That question itself, I've watched debates on, like people saying like there's contradictions in the Quran, science, and then you would have the other side, the scholar, the evolution, the Islamic scholars coming up, and they would have a debate, and it would just go on and on and on. You know what I'm saying? So again, what it will fall down to is subjective reasoning. Is the Quran a contradiction or is it not? You know what I'm saying? So again, I agree. There are people that put this view. I think there are Muslims that come forward with views saying it's not. There's no contradiction. We'll explain to you how it's not.
Right.
So I think that's a continuous debate until whenever.
Yeah.
So I don't think.
Anyway, what is scientific about what Muslims teach anyway? They make some claims about it being scientific. You believe that, or you believe, what's scientific about Muslims? What they teach?
No, you're saying the religion is not.
I'm talking about you. Yeah, what's scientific about what you believe? What's scientific about it? A lot of it, what you said, is nonsense.
I don't see what you're saying, sorry.
I'll repeat it again for the last time. I said, we believe that what your prophet said, science has proven to be true.
That's the prophet, I said the Quran.
Where did he get the Quran is God?
The Quran is the word of God.
How do you know that?
Because it says it.
Because the Quran says so.
Because we're from the
This is a circular argument. What?
Based on what it says in the Quran, and what the prophet has taught us, we say that it is the word of God.
According to, I'm not a Muslim, from what I hear Muslims say, there was this man and he had a revelation, and this gentleman just said he had this experience with some angel or some being, could have been the devil. As a matter of fact, he wasn't sure. That person he had the interview or the revelation with, Mecca. Didn't even introduce himself. He didn't even know who the hell this person was.
Right. Yeah. Anyway.
He didn't.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to discuss, man. So
could have been an evil spirit.
If we want to come to people argue about it whether it's contradictory or not, okay. But if we want to go to morality, like I was talking to this guy here before you came about personal ideas of morality and whether you can hold them without them being in contradiction to each other. They're not about books, they're not about scholars, it's about you personally, whether you can hold one idea and another that seemingly contradict at the same time. Now if you can do that, for me it's terrifying. Because it's one day you'd be like, oh, it's my best friend. The next day you'd be like, no, I fucking hate that guy. You can't have both. It's a sign of mental illness. Like, for real, I'm not saying you're mentally ill. I'm saying that many people have cognitive dissonance. Me included, most likely. If you read something that contradicts one of your deeply held views, your natural revulsion against it, you want to push it away, you want to contradict it. It's not open to the truth. It's not just Muslims, it's everybody on the planet. It's part of being human, right? But we got, in science at least, we've got to actively counter that. You're trying to eliminate your biases, you try and make experiments where you don't know what's going on, double-blind experiments. Outside people that have got no vested interest in whether or not it's true or false. That's the only way we can uncover the truth, I think. When it comes to morality, it's tricky. Let's take apostasy. Killing people who leave the religion. What do you think about that? Then, how can you support the Quran?
What does it say in the Quran to kill the apostate?
It doesn't?
Where?
Okay, maybe we should look this one up.
It's the hadith they're referring to.
Okay. It's going to take me a minute.
Keep talking. No, I'll tell you, because it's the hadith. The hadith states that if a Muslim leaves the religion, and it's in the authentic Bukhari, right? And that's where they're getting their thing from. Well, I would say, go and look at the scholar of Ramadan, who says clearly that when the Prophet saying kill the apostate, he's referring to the people who came from Medina and said we're Muslims, left Medina.
Yeah, I've heard that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've heard that.
But leaving the religion.
Okay, you know that apostates are currently killed in the world today, right? And people are terrified to leave Islam.
This is my point. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia says atheists are terrorists. I'm like, how can you say?
No. I know about that.
Like in Iran, my country, right? They say women must wear their hijab. Hold on, it says there's no compulsion in religion in the Quran. How can you be saying force women to wear their hijab?
Right. Well, and that comes back to the other thing that I mentioned about. I can't remember the word now. Where the teachings later on, the revealed surahs later on in the Quran overruled the previous ones. Which would make a lot of sense if you were a guy who spreads a message in Mecca or Medina, wherever he was from, right? And he's unpopular. Everybody hates him. They're saying everybody's an idol worshipper, that they're all going to go to hell. It's very unpopular. People tell me about this. They're suppressed, everyone hates him, they split him and stuff. But then he gets more powerful, right? He gets followers, he gets converts, he starts conquering, he gets an army, he becomes incredibly successful. If you look at the Islamic conquest, incredibly successful, murdered a lot of people. All history is about war, right? Now, you imagine that. Do you think your mindset would change if you were just one man being oppressed? You're like, oh yeah, don't react to them, just be sound, follow God, it's all about you. You can't compel them, and then you get powerful, you get resentful, you get hateful, you get full of, you've got 11 wives, or 9 wives. I've heard 2 quotes. There's another contradiction in the Quran there. Why can he have so many? And you start,
It says only prophet you are allowed.
Isn't that convenient? Does that never come to your mind? That a guy... No, it's not convenient.
No, because it says you are allowed. Others not.
Why not? Why is it not coming from his mind? He wants more wives.
No, even he.
Come on, man. Come on, okay, you can take sex slaves. You can sleep with young children. You can have multiple wives.
What do you mean by sex slaves?
Taking whatever your right hand possesses in war.
Right. So in the context of that time, when you're saying a sex slave, you're taking a woman who's after the battle, you take him as a prisoner after war. You're not allowed to touch him and sexually pleasure yourself, whatever man please.
Apparently not what the book says, man.
The book says, oh, you can marry the slaves only through marriage.
And what choice do those women have?
And upon their own will.
Really?
Upon their own will.
Let's think reality, man. Like, this is real. This is the real world. That really happened. And today we have slavery. Today we have murder. Today we have wars. When people do this, you can go and see it, and it will scar your mind, man. I've seen certain things myself. I know it's real. It's not a game. It's not a word game. I'm not saying you're playing a word game, but many people do, right? It's serious. If you go to a village and you kill all the men and you capture all the women, they've lost their ability to provide. They're under your complete domination. You can do whatever you want with them, obviously, like physically. They can't resist you, right? And then not anytime, right? And then you're telling me that the woman has a choice. Bro, you've killed her entire tribe. She has no recourse. She can't do anything. And you're like, oh, it's okay, I'll marry you before I rape you. What choice does she have, man?
I'm saying,
First
of all, why were those people killed? I think that's the question you should ask.
Why would the prophet of God endorse killing?
No, why did he go and kill those people? I think that's the question.
Right, this is a legitimacy
why would
thing.
any prophet go and kill people and just to steal their wives? We say in Islam that if you look at the prophet's life, look at the wars, every war that he went into was a defensive war. Every war.
Defensive or not, like
really?
taking somebody else's wife.
How do you expand defensively?
Oh, I'll show you. Right, there's three ways. One, Islam says you're not allowed to go into war unless you're being attacked. Then you defend yourself. Two, you create treaties with other countries around you so they keep the peace. If they break their treaties and they come to attack you, then yes, you're allowed to defend yourself. Three, if other countries or other empires are expanding, just like before the World War I, even Britain was colonizing. If they're colonizing and expanding, you expand as well. So if you don't, you're expanded upon.
Right, so you're still conquering.
Yeah, but because they are conquering. But if they stop, you stop.
So it's not a peaceful idea, is it? It's a you can fuck people up.
No, it's saying you don't do anything until they initiate it. If they initiate it, then you start.
But
you're not expanding just to take their wife. You're expanding.
Why would you not defeat their army and stay within your own borders? Right.
But that's a treaty, though. That's why now the UN treaty saying if you have a war with a country, you're not allowed to get in their land.
What about Israel and the Golan Heights? They took that in war. They didn't give it back. They possessed it and took it in war to secure their borders, right? To expand their influence. It's the same thing.
No, I'm saying if the treaty is there to say if you have a war, you should give the land back, then as an Islamic country, you should give the land back.
Right, but it's not stipulated in the Quran.
But Israel, I'm just quoting though. It was saying Israel took in those heights. I'm like, well, if that's the case and it's under treaty, Israel should give those heights back to whoever it belongs to.
I don't know if they have a treaty or not. It's just an exciting example, and they're not Muslims anyway.
I'm saying, overall, I think there's what you're saying to me seems to me you have a lot of misconceptions about.
Really?
I genuinely think so.
I'm not so sure about that. I think I'm reading it. But that's the thing. If I read something that you don't disagree with, you say I'm interpreting it wrong.
No. I'm saying I admit there are things I cannot prove necessarily from the Quran. It may be true. You may have a point. But I'm saying I think you've got you're getting the wrong idea about Islam or what Islam says necessarily. I would say I'm sure there's knowledgeable brothers or scholars here that you could go to talk to much more than me.
Sure.
That will explain this much more in detail. But fill up my water?
I'm not sure there's any water fountain here. I need to throw this one away. But
there's a shop over there.
I know, I got this on the shop. I don't know about
expensive as hell.
I know. Yeah. Anyway, man, I wanted to keep going on a line there because I thought we might be making some progress. No, it's okay. We both digressed. I can't really remember exactly what it was on. Okay, so we're talking about expansion, apostasy. Do you remember exactly what we were saying?
Not really. No.
He's not listening.
That's right.
No, I kind of spaced out at one point.
Right. So the thing is,
I would say one thing though. You said morality, right?
Yeah.
I would say from you said you're a
skeptic. I question all ideas.
No, that's fine.
Including my own.
I would say, from that point of view, how do you go about achieving objective morality, for instance?
Right.
How would you do it? I'm genuinely interested. I don't know how you would do it.
Cool. Because you have the evolutionary origin of morality, right? You have things that people, if you can do certain actions, they'll give you a bad reputation, they'll make people not trust you, and they'll break up your community cohesion. Those things are immoral. In human morality, all morality is subjective. We're just animals living on a planet, and we have to live together, right? So it's what you do that benefits the group, that benefits those ties, the trust between ourselves right now. That is morality.
But we could have disagreements with it.
Sure, you can.
So how would that be objective?
Well, it's not. It is
That's my point.
But it isn't. Because what I'm trying to say is that this is an active field of study. If you look around the world, there's general rules more or less, saying about when it's right or wrong to kill, that you shouldn't steal, that you shouldn't have so much sexual immorality or sleeping with multiple people's wives, etc. You can clearly show that if you do those things, it breaks up a group, it breaks up a society. We're tribal people. For all of this is a complete new thing, this type of society. For a whole history, we're either hunter-gatherers or static farmers for a relatively recent period of time. You have to work together for each other's survival. Therefore, we have to have a set of rules that will stop you from hating me. That we will.
So how do we come about to come up with the rules itself?
Well, by looking about what works and what doesn't. Like, if we're both farmers and I steal all of your grain, we're not going to work together, are we? So we're not going to support each other if somebody else invades, or if there's a famine. We're not going to support each other.
Would it come down like to a democratic vote where everyone in the society have to vote?
I don't think it's voting. It's just whatever worked in reality. It's like the natural selection of law.
But that will come down. Everyone would have a different opinion on that.
Not really, man. Not really. Well, I mean, you could.
There are people in this country who say, yes, bring the death penalty back. Or some people go, no, keep it out. We see some people say, well, I don't agree with someone going to jail for 20 years for murder. It should be 40 or
right. But we're talking about the length of punishment rather than the designation of crime.
But I'm saying, how would you come to a decision upon both the crime, the punishment for the crime, for instance?
Okay.
Saying that killing someone who
That's a good
steals,
question.
how would you balance that out?
Yeah, very good question.
Like Supreme Court has the balance thing.
Science has the answer, man.
Okay,
Psychology should have the answer. It's talking about if you want to create a just punishment, you have to look at the origin of crime, why people do it, why people go to these recourses. Some people, as far as I know, are maybe damaged sort of mentally. You have criminally insane people and sociopaths that have no morality, that have no empathy, and they'll do things without any recourse. They don't care. They have no remorse. But everybody else is built on the system. It's like maybe you're pushed into a certain circumstance in your life where you're desperate and you'll rob or kill someone to get what they have for your survival or for your benefit, right? Now you have to look at that and make an assessment of what is a punishment, what is a good punishment. I don't know the answer, but you can come to that answer. Should you cut people's hands off for stealing? I would say no.
Was that not a decision what you just said? I don't know the answer, but you can come to the answer.
No, I'm saying I personally can't give you all the answers.
No, but if you don't know something, you can find out what's the best solution for it. No?
But even if you take the biggest scientists or the psychologists, people who are agnostics in a sense, they in their books, even Richard Dawkins says like there is no such thing as good and evil.
Right, but because there's not.
But that's what I'm saying. So how do you define that stealing is a bad thing?
Like I said, because it will break down your cohesion and trust between a group.
Right, so when I said freedom of speech may break down the social cohesion of a group, you said... Well,
it might, yeah. But I think the benefits of it far outweigh that risk.
So it is so it's essentially taking the greater for the worse.
Absolutely. Because I would say having the ability to speak about... Right, back in the day, if you say that the earth, the sun, that everything revolves around the earth, you're a heretic. And you're burnt or you're persecuted. It's ridiculous. You couldn't think about science. You couldn't explore the world. You couldn't try and deduce the truth, right? That's clearly a ridiculous state of being with blasphemy. You can't think, you can't discover, you can't create. And look at what we have now. Many people say there's loads of problems. There are, but I think we're advancing as a species.
I think it's a lot better now than it was then.
Right. So the benefits of it are greater. You can look at. I don't want to talk so much, man. I'm talking way too much.
I'm being enriched with knowledge. So go on.
That's cool, but it's just my understanding. So read everything for yourself.
It's been a pleasure. That was good.
Yeah, it was nice.
Oh. Fucking hell, that was tiring.
Yeah.
Breathe, man. You're okay.
Sorry.
This is my first week here. So
yeah? How was your first week? Nice.
It's alright. This is my first time.
Oh, it's good, man. It's good. No, it's more busy because of this
it's more busy
event.
It's.
You guys come every week?
Yeah, I try to. Yeah.
I watched some feature videos, but not all of them.
Yeah.
And they look quite interesting. I was like,
it's the best channel, man. COE.
Is this yours?
No, it's not mine. It's the guy with the hat. I don't know where he is.
Oh, it's a YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's a YouTube channel. Yeah. It's usually got at least it's got the best audio for sure. This big ass mic. But yeah, you're the bro. Bro, we're finished with the combos. Yeah, it was good, man. Just endorsing your channel.
You leave all your equipment and go?
He's got a good rep, see? It's about reputation.
Content over everything. From your humility.
Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
Apparently, it's racist to want to stop grooming gangs.
Deal with the criminal. Don't deal with the
I'm a criminal to want to stop grooming gangs.
Yes, I'm too.
If you ever speak out anything against Islam, you're Islamophobic.
Do you have?
If you want to stop grooming gangs, you're a groomer.
You are being childish.
If you offer a solution, why can't everybody go back if it means stopping grooming gangs?